Welcome, brave explorers of feelings. Welcome once more to the corner where illusions peel away and whispers turn into revelations. You have arrived at the beating heart of Turkish series stars. Today, the spotlight rises not on a scandal that screams, but on a gesture so quiet, so deliberately beautiful, that it feels like poetry smuggled into a crowded room. Settle in, soften the lights in your mind, and prepare to read what hides between the strands of a hairstyle that might be far more than a style choice. Before we unwind this silken thread, take a second to join our growing family. Subscribe to Turkish series stars, ring that bell to catch the earliest pulse of fate, and if you love the way we chase the soul beneath the shine, show your support with a like. For those who want front row seats to our revelations and to keep this theater of hearts open and shining, the join or subscribe button is your golden key. Now inhale, slowly. We are about to discover how a single look can reopen a chapter we thought was sealed, and how a wave of hair can sound like an ancient vow echoing back into the present. The entertainment world woke up today to a tremor that didn't come from shouting headlines, but from a soft, irresistible signal. Intimate, symbolic, and deeply personal. We are not talking about a surprise series announcement or a last-minute flight across continents. The news that set timelines buzzing comes wrapped in the glossy glow of a red carpet and the scent of memory, Yagmmer's hair. At last night's exclusive event, she arrived like a vision, wearing elegance as naturally as breath. And yet, the dress, the shoes, the jewelry, none of that claimed center stage. What stole the room, what drew every gaze and refused to be forgotten, was the way she framed her face, soft, tender waves, sculpted with an artist's touch, cascading with a familiarity that burned like a sunrise in the mind of anyone who remembers. To the casual viewer, it might have looked like a charming fashion decision. But for those of us who lived through their saga, who felt every high and every hush, that style snapped open a door we all thought was locked. In an instant, the image dragged us backward into a time where everything between her and Barış's Baktas sparkled, those golden days when their chemistry wrote its own script in stolen glances and shared silences. Why does a hairstyle carry such gravity? Why does it feel like a coded message? This is where the past knocks hard on the door of the present. Sources close to the pair, voices that drift through the velvet corridors of fame like a secret chorus, insist this choice is not random. According to their whispers, that very look was tied to a quiet promise made years ago, away from flashbulbs, tucked behind closed doors where only truth survives. The story goes that in a night carved out of the noise, with time holding its breath, Barış ran his fingers through those waves and spoke words that now feel like a spell coming true. Picture it, two hearts against the world, the room a sanctuary, the promises softly lit. And his murmur, intimate and unshakable. The day you wear your hair like this again, I'll know your heart is calling me back, no matter where we are or how long it's been. It sounds like it was torn straight from the last page of a love novel, but sometimes life writes in the same ink. Seeing Yagmmer in those waves again is like watching a flare shoot across the night sky, aimed at one person in a crowd of millions. It's a message loud enough to make the world go quiet. And here we are, dear family of Turkish series stars. Do you believe in the secret language lovers invent, the silent syllables of gestures and glances? Have you ever used a small detail to say something too fragile for words? Share the clues from your own stories in the comments. And if the pulse of this kind of emotional decoding thrills you, remember that your subscription keeps us digging delicately where the human heart hides its treasure. The reporters at the event sensed it before the words even formed. Something lived behind her eyes. Something warmer than the light's reflection, something lit from within. When a journalist took a calculated shot and asked about the new look, expecting a casual mention of seasonal trends, Yagmmer smiled with a sweetness that felt like longing, then said, "Sometimes you have to return to your roots to remember who you were, and who you truly want to be." A gentle answer, poetic on the surface, but if you know the full arc of their story, it lands like a bell. Returning to the roots isn't just a wink about hair. It's a bridge, stretching from then to now, hinting that nothing cherished is ever really gone, that it can be the ground on which you rebuild. Across the board of this delicate dance, The response from Barış didn't unfold in the loud public square, it traveled through quieter channels. The images reached him quickly, there is no distance in the age of flickering screens. And those who stood near him in the moment swear they saw him go still, then soften. He recognized the code immediately. How could he not? He was the one who had placed that meaning in her waves like a secret keepsake. A friend says, he whispered, voice tight with feeling, some promises survive time, no matter how ruthless it tries to be. Seeing her like this feels like breathing our old sky again. It's not a proclamation. It's a confession breathed out when the armor slips, proof that the current between them still crackles just beneath the calm. And there's a detail we cannot dismiss, a puzzle piece that clicks into a perfect fit. Just days before the event, Barış posted a brief, aching story on his account. I'm waiting for the sign that tells me it was all real. Was last night's look the answer? The way the timeline is shaped, it's hard to argue otherwise. Doesn't it feel like a conversation traded in symbols, a secret passage only two people know how to walk? In a world where everything is rehearsed, going back to a style that holds the weight of a promise looks like intention, not accident. Fans, the most relentless detectives in the history of love, started stitching side-by-side photos in lightning speed. The resemblance is uncanny. It's the same style from that quiet dinner when their fingers found each other under the table. The same soft waves from the night he dedicated a song to her on live TV, catching the breath of everyone watching. Social media pulsed like a heart on the brink. The believers in their reunion saw not hints, but a declaration. She's speaking without saying a word, they wrote, and it felt true. The kind of love that leaves fingerprints on your soul never needed a microphone. Sometimes it just needs an echo. Through all the rumors and pauses, their chemistry has been a tide, announcing itself even when it pretends to retreat. This time, it looks like the tide is returning. Here is what makes this game so exquisite. Yagmmer didn't give a dramatic interview, didn't hurl a grandiose statement into the void. She simply wore that look and let everyone else translate. It's the move of a woman who knows her heart and knows her power, a woman who understands that real statements don't always need volume. And where does that leave us? With one question humming like a wire. What will Barış do next? If that old vow is real, the moment now belongs to him. Will he step forward? Will we wake up to a photo, a line, a glance that ties the ribbon on this living rumor and turns it into something we can call by its true name? At Turkish series stars, we hold our watch like patient guardians, eyes trained on the subtleties. A playlist goes on mute when this kind of story moves, the room itself seems to listen. We're ready to catch it all. The flicker of a like, the echo of a caption, the half smile in a backstage video. Tell us what your heart says. Does this feel like the first real page of a second chapter? Is the door already open and we're just waiting for the footsteps? Whatever arrives, the energy is unmistakable. It's the memory of two people who once built a language together and are now testing its pronunciation. It's the hush before thunder. It's the moment a melody returns in a concert and the crowd recognizes it in the first two notes. And if this story made your pulse quicken, give it a like, subscribe to Turkish series stars, and support the channel so we can keep drawing back the curtain on moments like this, moments that remind us that the most dazzling scenes are sometimes the quiet ones. Until our next update, hold this thought close, sometimes all it takes is a wave in your hair to send a storm racing across the heart. This is Turkish series stars, keeping watch where feeling meets fate.